it's like quite early and nothing happened so far, which is probably good as well. So like outside there's no much sun, but no much rain as well. So that's good too.
A lot of
Uh,
wind, not so.
yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, good, good. How about
Yeah,
you?
weather-wise, it's sort of similar. I guess you are not surprised about that. Yeah, Saturday morning is always nice to begin with something technology, something
Mm-hmm.
related to technology, and we continue today with a remix topic.
Mm-hmm.
So last time we started deep diving into that. That's part of our, it's right now XT Code Hour series, which we improvise in and we explore different technologies. And the plan is that we prepare with public a workshop about remix technology. And yeah, follow us, follow our channel to see more updates. But we can already say that we gonna be in some conferences in this year presenting this topic. So yeah, you if you follow this channel, you might see some pics, some top pics of what we're gonna show on the conferences as well. Yeah. So yeah, perfect time, perfect moment to start with our second part, right? Second
Mm-hmm.
episode of our remix. Maybe a quick announcement. What is gonna be this episode about? Maybe if you remember what we achieved last time, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that kind of things.
Yeah, it's a good idea to reiterate on this. So last time we were trying to build an application that proves the idea of like a remix getting the data from the server side simultaneously instead of based on the waterfall. And the last episode ended with some questions of like the first one is how to actually build those deep nested routing system in Remix properly. And the second one was how to prove that those requests are loaded or like executed simultaneously. Because yeah, that's on the client side, there is like a network tab in the browser, and you can open it and you can see like whether a request goes one by one or at the same time. But on the server side, it would be a little bit different, or like I cannot say easy or difficult, but it's just different. So this time in this episode, I would propose to focus on those things.
That's awesome. And we're gonna continue in a code sandbox, right? We want to
Mhm.
continue in a code sandbox. Yeah, I have a reference from a last time project. I think it was this one. I say I'm not 100% sure because it's not opening for me right now. It says something wrong with the instance itself, but that's not a big problem. Just let's see, public. Can does it work for you? Maybe this
For
sand.
me, it works. Huh? It
Oh,
surprisingly
okay.
works.
Okay, okay. Yeah, for me it says restart instance and it's connecting. But maybe you can share your screen in this case and we can go on with your part.
Absolutely. So for this, I will go here, and this is sharing the screen. I will share this particular tab. I think that would be fine. Uh, can you see?
Awesome, yeah.
Huh? All right. So we will need to do some magic to start the project. If I remember correctly, I need to go to the terminal and then do something special, right?
Yeah, first of all, if you zoom a bit, that would be awesome. Just a little.
The code or the
The
paragraph?
code, I mean, yeah, the code, yeah. Now, I think one out would be perfect.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, like that is awesome. Yeah, to start it correctly, I think you need to open the console. Like there is a console somewhere there. I think a right top icon close to
Mm-hmm.
your. No, right to your logo. Right, sorry, it's right to your avatar.
This could be.
Left to your avatar. Sorry.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, terminals,
New.
new terminal, yeah. Can you do node minus version?
the latest
okay.
almost.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let's do npm run dev, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, should be working now. Yeah, it shows you pop up that you can start it. What happened? Is that
Sorry. It's,
it's
I,
different?
I panicked. I clicked somewhere.
I had the same error on my tab, by the way.
Okay, this one open.
Yeah. Let's doesn't matter which one. Yeah, let's try to do that.
Oh, that's so scary.
Yeah, if you just
Yeah, I will copy this URL.
yeah, that also would work, and then you can open it in this actions section on the left. Yeah, that also works.
And that is it, right?
Just took us a few minutes this time. Awesome. One thing about this setup, I think Code Sandbox is amazing, but we have some troubles if we want to need authorization flow. I don't know. Will we cover it today?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, I will explain it just for our viewers. The problem is that I think it doesn't send and forward cookies correctly, authorization cookies. So it might be solvable, but it doesn't work in a short exercise.
Right. Okay. So since last time, I learned one cool trick about the remix, and this cool trick is called layouts. So basically, we try to make the nested route that would be movies, then movie ID, then reviews, then review ID. So for this, we can make something like inside the movies folder, we can make file which is also movies.ts. No. We can create file movie ID 36. We have it. We can create a folder simultaneously, movie ID. All right. So inside this folder, again, we create folder reviews, and we create a file which is reviews ts6. And I will pre-fill them right now just to verify that it is working, and we'll see what we'll see on the screen. So for now, the easiest is just to copy a bunch of the data that we have around, and here that would be reviews. So it's like the list of reviews, and we have the mocks for the reviews somewhere here, I guess. Reviews, yes. And that's not movies, that's probably reviews. And as the data, we don't need to filter it, we can just serve the whole reviews. All right, now this will be reviews, and reviews can be like an empty array, so we don't need to throw a 404. But here we are going to build our favorite table, which we already have here. And in this table, we will show a little bit of different data, which is basically our reviews. So this will be reviews. Reviews have, I think, text and the score. And then we need an index to set it as the key for the list item. And those things we don't need for now. This would be score, and this would be text. All right. So I don't think we need two returns, honestly. I think one would be enough. So what does it say that has type any? I agree with this for now. Cannot find module reviews, right? Is this here or no? Do we have it in the mocks? Yes. Do we not need to write an extension here? No. Consider importing. Oh, no. That's not what I want. Okay, so we also need like mocks, I think. Mock reviews, yes. That is all right. So the params we don't have for the reviews. And okay, so we created a page, we created a layout, and layout should contain an outlet. So we can see somewhere in the root how this looks like. And it's just like an element which comes from Remix Run React. So let's copy this one, and for now, let's just tell that this is our layout with some text layout. And then let's put a path to it, for example, that goes to routes, movies, movie ID, and then reviews the SX. And here we put this outlet element from Remix Run React. So here it goes. So the mocks we don't need for now. Data we don't need for now. That should be enough. So those elements are not used. So that's all right. Okay. So now let's try and start our favorite debugging session. We go first, probably as always, to the home folder.
To the root, yeah.
And then we change the root. Okay, and now we see that import. Oh my god, type is invalid. Expected a string for built-in components. All right. So let's go a little bit here. So that's in views. So we should come here and also here. All right, so that's reviews, movie ID. Okay, movie ID we do have. Okay, so first thing, we probably don't need anymore this file, and we can delete it. Movie ID we don't need for now. Index. I will just pre-populate the empty file with something, just to be sure that it is not failing because of this, and we don't have any more empty files, which is good. So let's go one more time to the movies. Okay. Wow. Remix up components, remix route. Okay, so it says something that our element is not correct, but it does not unfortunately say where. All right, let's just verify that we have one more time. Wow, that's something unexpected. Okay, so then we need to start it one more time on a different port. Probably this one would work. It will. That's good. So we put it here. This we don't need, and we go back to movies, and we go for movies. We go here. Let's just, for a time being, let's start moving our files back. For example, movie ID and movie ID. All right.
What does a terminal throw the same error? Is it correct?
Let me check. Yeah, it's exactly. Maybe we can start and then run again.
Oh yeah, you can do that on the left top.
No, not. I mean, not the sandbox, but this. Okay. So that still throws the same error, even though in movies we just have movies and then jokes.
Do you know which component? I don't see which component is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I also don't see which component. So it's.
In the structures.
It says render element and points to the build file, and yeah, doesn't say which element.
Yeah.
All right, maybe we can move more out of this, for example, movies, and then restart the dev server as well.
What about the jokes route? If you go there, would it be working?
1 second. So
Yeah.
okay, so after we extracted jokes, it seems working actually. Rebuild. Okay, so let's check. We have routes and nothing else. So let's check root route. Okay, now let's try to put movies back. This is this one. Okay, movies. Aha, movies is not working. Wow.
That sounds like you are surprised.
Yeah, that seems that well. Okay, let's try to remove a loader and then just return a text movies. Those things we don't need at the moment. Oh, 500. And it's the same error. Wow, that's
Yeah. That's I would.
okay. This file corrupts everything. So that there was an empty file. Okay, so this file I will move. This now it's better.
Amazing.
Wow, just took us 15 minutes. Wow,
That's nice debugging.
Yeah, but apparently it's very dangerous to create empty files in Remix.
Yeah, exactly. That's the conclusion. Yeah.
Wow, that's all right. So now we can move back our movie ID inside and movie ID this one. Let's check it. Op, and now we can also move back reviews, and it's inside. Yes. So now we do reviews. Oh, almost. So that shows something, but am I sure that it's this one? No, I'm not sure at all. So reviews, and index.js. Okay, so somewhere else.
Outlet. Do we have it on reviews TSX?
Yeah, I don't think we have it in movie.id. So here we can also put outlet somewhere, maybe after the link, for example, here. And also that would be nice to import it. Yes. And ta-da! Finally.
Amazing.
All right, so we do have reviews, but it's not reviews for this movie because we need to filter them out. So we do have reviews, filter, review movie ID equals, and now we do need params. Equals 1 second. Movie ID. I will deconstruct this. Sec and movie ID. That is correct. And now do we have it only about this movie? Yes, no. Yes. We do have it about this movie, and we also don't need actually other fields. We just need text and score. Yes. So that's a Shawshank Redemption and the reviews about Shawshank Redemption. Okay, so far so good. We finally managed to build like some nested routes. But how do we actually know that the data loads simultaneously? So let's do very strange trick. Every time when we load the data, we will put a timeout. So await new promise and then resolve win or set timeout resolve. Let's say 5 seconds. Oh, that would be too much. That's so one. That's 1 second. I'm not sure that's 5 seconds, but I'm also not sure that it goes here. So to be sure that it does, I will restart the server.
Oh, that looks like 5 seconds.
Yes. No? Okay. Yes. Connection closed. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. That seems like 5 seconds, and indeed, even route tells us that it's 5 seconds. Also, consequent routes are also 5 seconds, right? Yes. Okay, now it works. Okay, so now we can put it not only here, but we can also, so here we don't have data loader, here we do have data loader. That's our movie ID, and also that would be enough, right? Yes, for now that's enough. Okay, so now after the server is restarted, this route should be should take 10 seconds, right? So let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's loaded. So we can see here that it still takes 5 seconds, even though for this request we need to take 5 seconds to load, and then for this request we need 5 seconds to load. So that actually means that those requests, this request executed simultaneously. On top of it, like how we can see this, we can add a small thingy, which is like very obvious one, that would be just like a date, and render it at new date to like a string. Okay. And then we have it for reviews, and we would have it for the movie. We also don't like it like this, yes. And we have it for movie. So one more time, just to be 100% sure that everything is correct, we restart our dev server. And
a little question maybe on that point. So we have these data loaders, and these data loaders executed on the server side. Upgrade required. Yeah, the question is, is it kind of synchronous data query in this case?
Synchronous.
Like it would not render if you don't have data, right? It first needs to get the data. You don't have a wait in the line 15, for example. So it's not that obvious that it's synchronous. Well, yeah, it's actually.
Yeah. That's a very good question. So that comes from the magic of the remix. So I was
Be
like,
careful with the
Redux.
yeah. Be careful with
Exactly. So that's so because this code like remix is server side rendered. So this code, it actually does not even start to execute this code unless the data is collected. So that means that like actually you are right. Here the code is synchronous, and once it's like data is collected asynchronously, then it starts rendering the component and passes the data synchronously. So that's kind of I don't know whether it's like a good or a bad or just a
Yeah.
different part of the remix, but it is like this, and
Uh-huh.
it's kind of nice in from some perspective. I will
Y-
also render ISO string because I also want to see time.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Um,
hmm,
one other question about that. So the idea of Remix is to have a server-side rendered application, right? And
right,
that's why, that is why we have this synchronous call for data.
right. Mhm.
Otherwise, it would be if we don't need that, it would be absolutely fine to render it first. Then you do a fetch asynchronously. Fetch gets some data. As soon as it gets it, it starts rendering a table, for example.
Yeah. And it's like also that's what you explained. It's more like not traditional but common approach. And the thing is that usually what people do there, so while the data is loading, they show loader or the skeleton screen, and meanwhile the data comes from the server, and then they render it actually the component. So for us, that would mean that instead of this like loading, we could render first the skeleton screen, and then it would render the page. But here we can see that it's like the layout and the component inside, which is reviews, it's rendered with the difference on 1 millisecond. So it's not 5 seconds between them. All right. So this point is proved. We kind of hopefully this like, yeah, well, we see that the data is loading simultaneously. I don't know yet about other frameworks. Maybe like other frameworks, maybe all frameworks nowadays do load data simultaneously. So it's like nothing special about Remix, but it's still nice.
Yeah.
What else we can try is to see whether it works without JavaScript. So the first thing, let's see whether it does have JavaScript. And for
Yeah.
this,
I don't see. We don't see your inspector. Uh,
okay,
can I ask one more thing before we
sure,
go to
sure,
that?
absolutely.
So if you open the root TS6, I think it's main.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't include script stack. I was reading the documentation, and I was really surprised that the default way it doesn't have JavaScript included indeed. So yeah,
Okay.
let's see your inspector now. Yeah, if you can
Okay.
share it, of course. I don't know if you can.
Yeah. So
Oh,
the
you know what you can do? I think if you open inspector in the same, like attach it to the screen that you have, like you can have it pop it up, or you can have it
let me
attached.
try.
Oh,
So
no, we
like
still don't see it.
like this. Okay. So I will then let me think how I can do this. Okay, maybe there is a network here.
Yeah, I
Open
saw it
logs.
somewhere. Indeed, yeah.
That's not the logs I want. Open a new tab.
Maybe
Uh,
the other action that is close to your avatar,
look, what I can try, I can share not the tab, but
but we
actually,
know. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So that right, right, and then I will go to sharing, and we'll share that is the entire screen up. Now you see it, right? Can you hear me, Alex?
I can hear you, but if I'm muted, for some reason you don't hear me. I don't know why. It's kind of strange.
Okay. All right, so that is our network, and the only thing that is loaded is actually reviews. So, oh no, okay, let's a little bit do this differently. I hope you still see my
Yeah, yeah, all good, all
incognito.
good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's just okay. So we have preview protocol, which comes from the sandbox,
yeah.
and that is it. So we don't have any React on this page, right?
And as a WGS, I guess it's also something called sandbox.
Yeah, I think that's their service worker to
Yeah,
actually refresh the page when the code is updated and
yeah,
do
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like this.
Uh-huh.
So wow, that means that our application is fully server side, and actually, what we can try to try to navigate somewhere, because that's good that we can render the static page, but it
Oh
would
no.
be even more nice if we can go from one page to another.
Yeah.
So let's verify that we can do this. So we already have a link, and let's just see whether this link works or not.
You're showing also you're switching your IDs. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's a
if
high
that's
tech.
what purposely, but
Yeah,
just so you know. Yeah, that's
yeah.
perfect.
Sorry. It's just like indeed a habit. Like I wanted from go to code, and that's how I go to code usually. But now code here is in a different place,
Mm-hmm.
and we can do, for example, what we have here. We have here movies reviews. All right. So let's just go to the movies. 3, 4, 5. Let's try one more time, like one more thing. Let's
Mm-hmm.
do, for example, here we will have 5, but
Mm-hmm.
here we will have 10.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know what would it prove, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, yeah, I'm also
Uh,
interested.
all right, so I
Where do
click
we
the
have 5 and where do we have 10 again?
10 we have on the most included route, the reviews, and 5 we have on the first one. But we can see here that Remix does load all the data first, everything first, and then it starts rendering. So that actually means that sometimes it can be a little bit, well, not the best user experience in a
Exactly.
in a way that like you need like to really wait for everything on the page to complete the data loading unless you see something, because
Yeah.
in regular applications, okay, you can see, like, for example, the top bar is loaded or the sidebar is loaded, and then some part of the main page is loaded by the comments, because they're not critical for your entity. They're like will be lazily loaded sometime. For this approach, it will wait for everything to load first, and then it will render. So you will need to see, you will need to wait for comments as well before you can see something. So, for example, in YouTube, that would not work because they render first the video. That's the key part of the page, and then on the other stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's just a nice observation, and we also proved that our code works without JavaScript. Now maybe we can try to make it work with JavaScript. So for this, I will also stop sharing the everything and will focus on the tab itself.
Good idea. Yeah.
And then I will happily go to Remix Docs. Can you see the tab? Okay, you probably see.
Now
Uh,
we can. Yeah.
okay, so I will go to Remix at JavaScript. Scripts. Okay, wow, that's a page that contains like 4 lines of text and 1 screenshot, and that apparently it's very easy. Now let's try to do this. It says that we need to import script stack or script element from remix run react, and we also need to put it to a body. We have body here, and we have scripts. Let's put them in the very end. And that is it, apparently. So now let me just refresh everything. I will also change our loaders from 10 seconds to a second everywhere. So we don't need really 5 seconds to wait for the data.
Clean it a bit for myself. Like we added the scripts that would enable JavaScript on our application, right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yes. So how it would change the application path? What it would do instead of it? What it's doing right now? Like it would, yeah.
Technically, we should not notice anything, and we should like really not even experience any subtle difference, because for this page, like everything is rendered on the server side. So the only thing that we will just have additional, I hope, React by default, but like in theory we can also put some other plugins or scripts. But for now, that would be just fine to see a React there.
Sorry. So technically, it would include React.js on our page, and it will render it on a client side in this case.
Yeah.
But the data will be also sent with the page, so it doesn't. It would not need another fetch from the page. It
No.
has. Okay.
Oh well, we will find out. It's
Yeah, we will find out. Yeah, but that's an assumption I have.
okay. So that should be the application. Okay, sorry, I'm sharing the
No,
tab
no,
again. I
that's
don't want
fine.
to share the tab. I want to share the whole screen.
Oh no.
That was the documentation. This one.
Yeah.
So now when we refresh the page, we see the initial document, and we can see in the initial document we already have the data. So the
As a
data comes.
JSON, sort of, if you show the row, yeah.
That does not seem like JSON.
I think I would expect it as a JSON, but
No, the raw document is just like pure HTML, I would believe. And then so, and indeed, yes, you're right. Oh, probably you're right.
Oh yeah, for routes and other configs, okay.
Yeah, for routes, it is a JSON or JavaScript
If you search
object.
for Shawshank Redemption, for example, on a page,
But this one is just an HTML.
That's weird. Okay.
All right, and then we have entry client side, which loads a lot of stuff from Redux, and I believe there's like React here as well. Then some chunks for the routes, and this starts to load like the component, movie ID, so the definition of the route, reviews, the definition of the route. So, and then do we have a data here as well? No. So the data actually comes from the initial document, and then the consequent we only like load some information about the route, what path on the route, and probably like React to hydrate the data. I think this data can be hydrated pretty well by React.
Even HTML, that's a little strange to me. Like React can use HTML as a source of data for applications.
Yeah, we can also try to search for Shawshank Redemption just in the search and see. Yeah, that's the only place where it is like mentioned. So yeah, seems like React is powerful enough nowadays to actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just curious, if you open the performance, maybe. Oh, yeah. Oh,
no,
yeah.
you're right.
This
You're right.
is
So
JSON.
yes,
Okay.
we also have JSON a little bit. Okay. So yes, that brings like a lot of JavaScript actually, like really 1 and 2 MB. Let's just be sure that it's all JavaScript, React DevTools backend. Oh, that's an extension. Okay, so it's not that like 900 kilobytes out of this is my extensions, or even like 950.
Yeah.
So that brings 250 kilobytes of JavaScript to the page. Most of them is React, and I'm also not sure that this data is compressed. So on the real life,
it's very debugged. I think version. Yeah, it can be zipped. It can be sanitized. Not sanitized. How it's called? Uglified.
Do you think so? So I do see that it's like compressed, but I don't see that it's like uglified.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not optimized yet.
Okay. Yeah, indeed. So that would be like a real life application, even less, maybe 150 kilobytes, something around this. But that's like the nowadays the cost of the rich client side application. And Remix actually can help you to remove this cost if you just focus on the server side page, which will be working good in the most of the cases. So that's amazing because I thought that by default Remix actually loads the JavaScript, and it turned out that it does not. So that means that yeah, it's everything is working even without JavaScript
Yeah,
and with JavaScript.
exactly. Yeah, I have this thought. Maybe you can elaborate a bit, help me with that. Okay, server side Remix is about server side rendered applications, right? In some cases, we need that a lot. I assume that's crucial for SEO optimization, right? That Google can find this application, things like that. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know other use cases when it's today's normal to use server-side applications, server-side rendering applications?
It is considered faster, so not only your content is searchable, which like and soon we probably will also mention that it's not only Google but also like for Bing and other search engines, but also for some applications that's just faster because all your data is prepared on the server side, and then you see eventually just the static HTML pages which like generated, and for not use like UI extensive applications or like the documents or websites, that is ideal. However, like there are other things like server-side generation, and maybe it's like if your application is not that client-side extensive and for SEO purposes, maybe it's like it worth to generate just static pages and then serve the static pages. Static pages is like are easier to distribute to CDNs and like a lot of things like this that you are probably aware of. But for like this particular example for the server-side generation, it's indeed not like universally applicable and not universally helpful to people. So in a lot of applications, there's like dashboards, admin dashboards that don't need to be exposed in to the users and to the search engines because they're behind the authentication wall. So, and then all those applications, sometimes server side is a little bit, over, or like it's too much. It's also like these performance optimizations or like server side rendering in general does not come for free. And the thing is, not all libraries by default like natively work on the server side. So on the server side, it's like a different environment. You don't have window there. So you should be prepared that your code will be executed on the server side. And then you need to adjust some like calls to the global variables from just like window to global this or something like this. And then that adds complexity to your code. And also if you use external libraries, it's just like they cannot work without modifications. So you have some limits, you have some complications on your code base. And for this, potentially you have a better SEO and better performance, but sometimes it's not critical.
Okay. Yeah, and so my question had the second part. We have some sort of applications that we don't want to have a server-side rendered, like you said. Yeah, maybe admin page, maybe chat, maybe Facebook activity page, whatever. Like some dynamic. I don't know if that's correct naming, but some dynamic pages where it needs complete user interaction all the time. For that kind of things, we will need definitely asynchronous data on a page, right? And we will need a dynamic JavaScript on a page. Can we still use it in Remix applications? Like, can we use these patterns inside Remix?
Yeah, actually in Remix, it's also kind of convenient for this. So they have, I'm sharing the whole screen, but I can just switch the tab. So in this one, it's entry, for example, .client and entry.server. So this is quite convenient convention. That means that this code will be executed only on the client side or only on the server side.
Yeah.
And then you can still like create only client-side components with only client-side loading mechanisms, which will be like something more common in React world, where you have use effect, and then inside the use effect you load data with fetch, for example. And then this will be executed plurally on the server, on the client, if it has this .client, and then this like still you can achieve this. That a little bit removes some part of the benefits of Remix, because for example, if your code cannot be executed purely server side, what's the point of like a lot of things optimized for this particular use case? However, like we don't always need those things universally in Remix. So the fact that they allow this, it makes it like really flexible, because well, like let's say for 90%, 80% of your application, you will be purely server-side rendered, but for some parts where it's very important to actually prioritize some parts, then you can use these things.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the thing that I mentioned in the very beginning probably not true. So in YouTube you can achieve this, but it's just like because YouTube, it's sometimes you want to really optimize the whole loading pipeline, like prioritize first video, then comments, then recommendations, etc., etc. So that's probably you won't use any like specialties from Remix. It will be just purely client-side code. So you can use Remix for YouTube, but it maybe will be not the best idea. So I would rephrase myself. However, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a week, I will learn more Remix, and maybe in a month will change my mind entirely and say that it's like an incredible idea to build a YouTube based on Remix.
I'm not sure at this point too. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, to me, I still remix. It's kind of new ground to me as well, and it feels very weird. Like we introduced the whole React world just to make our application live in a browser, only in a browser, and optimized everything to make it. As much flexible as you can to build the optimal application for your client side. And then we say, but actually for most of applications, we want something else. We want server side rendering, but let's bring React there. That's kind of line of thought we have. Interesting.
But indeed, it's like you're I absolutely agree with you on this. That kind of it was a wild west, or it's still like the platform, the web is evolving, and then some parts like are changing very fast. And indeed, in the very beginning, it was like static documents, and then we come to the place where we want some dynamic parts. We want to change something on the client side. And it grew and grew and grew, and more for JavaScript frameworks, and more and Angular, and then React. And then everyone was like so hyped about React and other JavaScript frameworks. And then after some time, we like wanted to put React back on the server because it's so cool. And then we eventually ended up with the same HTML documents on the server side based on the React, and everyone is happy. But it's it was like why I personally like Remix, for example, for this fact that it does not load React. Some time ago, I was working on some service, and I wanted to build a landing page. And for this landing page, I just wanted to put the screenshots of the application, of the web application features like behind the authentication. And I did not want to make like pictures and put them. I wanted them to be dynamic. So I want just like to render a React component from my main application in the landing, but I did not want any interaction there. So that did not make sense, like to load the whole React. And I just wanted, okay, please render me on the server side, like everything, like the landing, HTML for this, I will serve it, and I don't want React. And back then, it was like 5 years ago, maybe it's like 4 years ago, there was no technology that can do this. So I was looking for like a long time, and then I found a library called X0. It was some like now it's dead. Like it was alive for like half a year, I don't know, and like some like person that created there for their own purposes, and then it's once these purposes were solved, they did not maintain it. And but this library allowed to generate like from the React code base the landing page or just any page, and then do not serve the React there. And now Remix helps with this as well. So, and that makes it like with all this flexibility, that makes it like a perfect candidate for the framework that can be universally used to create the whole startup ecosystem. So you can make the dashboards on the like the back office dashboards that would allow you to moderate the data, to manage the users, and to control the settings of the application entirely, for example, on the client side. You can create a landing page on Remix, purely server-side generated or like server-side rendered. And then you don't need to serve any React code. And then there will be a main part of your web application which is served to users, and then this part is the combination of two. So some parts are like fully server-side rendered, some parts are fully client-side rendered. And because you have this kind of flexibility in Remix, you can do everything. So that's what I really, really like about Remix.
All right. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I have another thought. It's also yeah. Sorry that we today is more about like discussions around it. I think it was very nice, at least to me. Like, why don't you want to use just I don't know, backend with a templating library, and then yeah, a question that you just answered in one way, like if you don't want to bring the whole React to the page, but you want to have just a dynamic component that can be solved by, let's say, jQuery. I don't want to be very old schoolish. I mean, jQuery. Let's not give jQuery, but web component, right? That should be sound better. But yeah, like. What's a benefit? I don't get it so much. I mean, the benefit that I get so far is that you have close to React stack, so you can yeah, build something really in a language of React itself, and that might help. It's questionable, doubtable, but this is the only benefit that I see comparing to the normal backend with templating library, let's say.
It's partly true, because indeed that really depends on the configuration of the backend. So let's say like I completely agree, and that's why I said it's partly true that Remix, for example, with all those like approaches that can work without JavaScript, that makes it like a fully backend framework. So like as the backend developer, you need to know how like the form works, how it's submitted, what the data, what's like the methods of the data is, or of the requests are used, and so on and so on. What's the difference between like get and post, and so on and so on. So it's like that, it makes it purely backend thing. I think the kind of the key here is not only this, but they brought in the Remix like the best backend ideas to the client side, and they also kind of leverage the backend world. So with this framework, they also, as you mentioned, like you can use like just React, for example, here, and React has a huge ecosystem, and React has a lot of fans and supporters and like a lot of knowledge around. So people get used to, for like a lot of parts, to React. They know the plugins, they have their favorite component libraries. So it's like just natural for them to continue use React. And then do this, like Remix brings this like power of the backend and say, okay, you can keep using the React. You can like it will be like the same React as you know, except it will be rendered on the server side and it will be faster.
When it's
Or
needed to be
when it's needed,
rendered.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Or yeah, indeed, when it's needed. Or it can be rendered on the client side, and then you would not notice any difference. So it's like up to you. So they just bring more options to the users, to the developers that use it. And at the same time, for example, if we are talking about traditional backend things like Ruby, for example, nowadays Ruby is like way better, and there's like probably gems or other ways, like maybe it's even out of the box that you can connect React to this, but historically it was not the case. So, and that's where you, for example, you remember this very, yeah, like jQuery, for example, and a lot of backend developers have some experience with jQuery. And also then like web components, and web components supposed to serve this is that they are fully like on the platform level. So you don't need actually anything special for them. You don't need the library. You don't need like this the whole backend pipeline in the CI/CD. So you don't need to build your code. You don't need to optimize the collect like CSS and the images and everything like this. So to have it paired with the backend of your choice. Like web components supposed to be just like the close to the pure HTML, which is the closest to the backend as we know it, like Java world or many other worlds. And then yeah, so that would be indeed like a really good approach. So like in theory that can be working, like I can see it's working, but also that's still two different technologies. So, and that's where it's kind of, for me, like Remix are on a good spot, and it like between, and keeps a good balance between like really nicest things from the backend world and the nicest things from the client side world, from the React ecosystem. Because in the backend you have like really, for example, Java application, and you should know very good Java to build a good application. But then you come to the side of the client side world with the web components, and you also need to know good like lifecycle web components, how they work, how you can put like CSS there, theming, languages, etc., etc. So it is also quite difficult to just use web components. If you're talking about jQuery, it's like it is possible, but jQuery it's not a full-featured framework on the client side. While, for example, Remix or React or Angular or Vue, they are all full-featured. Even for web components allow you to build a component, but for example, it's not Angular that helps you with like conversion of control of template system or like state management, etc., etc. So there is still like with web components will be some gaps, which, for example, with native React plus Remix will be filled. So that's what I think.
Yeah, it explains it. My conclusion, based on your words, then, is that it's sort of templating framework 2.0 combined with the React world, which makes a lot of sense. And then I'm wondering, by introducing this zoo of all kind of solutions for front-enders and between back-enders, website developers, which part, which percent of applications actually suits best for this approach or not, and how difficult it's to decide which route should you go in your implementation. Yeah, that's not an easy question. That complicates it even more, I would say.
Yeah, that is true. That is true indeed. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, we spent last half an hour discussing these important questions. I think that to me it was really, really beneficial. I understand it much better now. Yeah, maybe our future plans. Do you have? Yeah, we discussed it briefly yesterday, right? Yeah, I can. Yeah, maybe we can announce it a bit. Shall I say? Yeah. So I think as we continue going through this remix stack, we want to go on with a few more sessions, and one of the next sessions would be give an introduction to remix technology, and maybe
Finally.
finally, yeah, that's we can prepare this theory overview at some point, maybe next time, but maybe not next time, but somewhere in the next sessions. We also plan to do some experiment with the ES build, which is the core of Remix compile cycle, which I hope would work, and then we can show a really nice use case. And beside that, I'm a little lost of what was the other plan. I think if you give me a second, I will actually find it. Oh yeah.
I think it's other frameworks. Like, okay, now we build it with the Remix, and now we want to compare. Okay, the promise of Remix, is it like really different from other frameworks, like Next.js, for example, or Astra? And if it is different, how different it is, and
Yeah.
where should you prefer, like Next.js or Astra?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, follow us, retweet us, yes, tell it to your friends if you like it. Support that with in any way that is working for you. It also works for us. It's hard to overestimate how it's important for us. And see you in the next sessions. Thanks a lot, Pavlik, for your time today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you very much, and bye bye. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.